Hi everyone, in this video tutorial then I'm going to show you how to take a fresh install of WordPress, which is what we have here, and create a website, an e-commerce website based on WooCommerce. So once we install WordPress as a fresh install, we're brought to the WordPress dashboard, which is what we're looking at here, which is the back end. So if I wanted to see the website itself, up here at the very top of my website, you'll see the name, the title of your website. That will drop down and you can right click there and choose open in new tab. If you're using Google Chrome, it will open the front end, what your visitors will see when they look at your website. So at the moment, my website called Retro Toys, just another WordPress site, has on its homepage a default post or blog post. So this is a completely fresh install. Now, WordPress is built on posts and pages, and the posts are the kind of blog posts that regularly change. So you'll have a post that will be updating a lot. Pages are more your static type pages, your home page, your about page, contact us page, pages that don't change very often. Now, the very first thing that I will ever do with a fresh install, since the Gutenberg editing plugin has been shipped as default with WordPress, is I will always go to plugins, which are extra little pieces of code that you can plug in to add extra functionality for your site. You can see here at the moment Askamet and Hello Dolly are there. Never ever use these, so actually before I do anything I'm just going to delete both of these. So at the moment I have no plugins. I'm going to click on Add New. And when I click on Add New, I can choose from lots of plugins. See, these are the most common plugins that are being downloaded. I can actually search over here. So I'm searching for the classic editor, and it will go and find it. Now I know it was already there, but just to show you how you can search for plugins. So the results will return here. Classic editor. I click on install now. The hamster wheel will go around. It's now installed, and then the final step is to activate. And as you install and activate these plugins, you will see that the menu system over here will expand. Now, every plugin is written by a third party, so you have no control over where the options for that plugin are going to install over here on the menu system. So they just tend to go everywhere. So I'm going to activate this plugin. And now that plugin becomes active. It's got that blue tinge behind it. If it wasn't active, it would have a white tinge and it would give me the option to activate. So that's the first thing done. So I've added a plugin which adds extra functionality to my website. In this case, it just reverts the editing area back to the classic editor. Okay. Now down here in the settings, let's just have a look at what's in each of these tabs. So I've got a general tab, and when I click on it, my site title. So here, even though I've called it Retro Toys when I was doing the WordPress install, I could change it here. The tagline of just another WordPress site is a default on every single WordPress site, so I'm going to take that out. And I'll just put in a tagline suitable to the business. Down here, I can change the date format and also the time format. Anytime I make a change, just going to change London to Dublin time. Anytime I make a change, I have to click on Save Changes, and it will apply those changes. The Writing tab will allow me to choose what is the default post category for my blog posts. At the moment, it's uncategorized because we haven't done anything yet. This is a completely fresh install. We haven't set up any categories or anything for our blog posts. The next option is reading. And in reading here, I can choose what my homepage is going to display. At the moment, it's just going to display my latest blog posts. But I do have the option here to set it as a static page and then choose one of the static pages after I create them. And then I'll also need to host or hold my blog post somewhere, so I can set up a page over here for my blogs, and I can have my blog posts appear on that. Okay, and again, save changes. Discussion relates to comments and whether people are allowed to just comment, or that the comment users must be registered, or you can disable comments as well for any of your blog posts. Media will allow us to set the sizes for the images that we upload to our media library. Permalinks sets the way that the URL will be displayed. If I was to choose plain, it would just use a combination of letters and numbers, which is not very intuitive. So day and name has this date stamp in it, or just post name. So I'm going to change mine straight away, my permalinks here, to post name. That way I'll get more English-based, more letter-based URLs for my posts and pages, as opposed to having this date system in there. Again, any changes I make, I have to click Save Changes, and it will apply those changes. And since the introduction of GDPR, we have a privacy section here where we can choose what our privacy page or privacy policy page is, or we can create a new page for our privacy policy. Now let's look at creating our first blog post. We'll go to Posts on the WordPress dashboard menu on the left. We'll just click on Posts and we'll see what happens. When we click on Posts, we get to see all of the posts that we have at the moment on our WordPress site. By default, Hello World will always be there with a fresh install of WordPress. You can see that Retro Toys, the user for this website, is the author, and the category that it sits in is currently uncategorized because I haven't created any categories as of yet. And you can see that it was published 14 minutes ago when I created the website. To create a new post, I'm just going to click on Add New. And because I'm using the classic editor, I get the old version of the editor as opposed to Gutenberg. Now, it's personal choice. I prefer the classic editor. So I can add a new post here. So I'm just putting in a title for this post. Okay, I'm going to essentially be eventually be selling Transformer toys, retro toys on this website. So I'm building up a blog post here about Optimus Prime for sale. Down here in the main section of the content, I can type in So this is a post about a sale on my e-commerce site. So if you're familiar with using Microsoft Word, WordPress won't be too dissimilar. Now, so I want this to be a title, so I can highlight that, and I can drop down here and I can choose a heading 1. Now we want one heading 1 per page. And with these, I can make them paragraphs. I can make certain words bold if I want. I can add in here bullet points. If I drop down this toggle toolbar, it will give me a second line of options, and some of the options here are things like I can change the text color here. Okay, so here's my first post. I might as well add media. So up here on the button I can click to add media, and I have a media library which currently has nothing in it because, again, this is a fresh install. So my only option here is to upload files. I'm going to click on upload files and select files, or else you can just drag and drop those files. So I'm going to select files from this folder that I've created just to host all of the e-commerce products that I'm going to have later on. So I'm going to pick one of these, pick this, open. Over here on the right hand side again, I want to make sure that these images are optimized, and ideally what I should have done before I uploaded this was, instead of calling it this.jpg, I should have called it optimusprime.jpg, just so that it can have a better chance of showing up in a Google search. Here as well, the title, and the alternative text. Down at the end here, I can choose what size I want it to go in as a thumbnail, as a medium, or as the original full size image. I'm just going to let it as the medium, and I'm going to choose insert it into post. And when it inserts into post, it arrives down here at the bottom of the post. Over on the right hand side here, I've got this option called tags, and tags are handy for, are useful for internal searches. So for example, I might just add in the name of this product or eventual product, comma, so your tags are separated by commas, comma, sale items. So if anybody searches on this website internally for any of those tags, there's a good chance that this blog post will appear. The final option that I have at the moment over here is to set a featured image. Now the featured image is the image that shows up beside the blog post when you look at it on the blog display page. So I'm going to set a featured image, click on that. Again, my media library only has now one item. I could use this image if I wanted. Now every time I add an image, it's going to add it to the media library, so I can reuse images, or I can choose to upload new images. Again, I choose upload file, select the file, and this time I might choose this image. Again, I should have taken time to fully optimize that, the name of that image. And I'll set that as the featured image. So now that I've got some text, a heading 1, and an image from my media library, some tags added, and a featured image, I can then publish this blog post. So it becomes published on the 21st of March 2019 at this time. If I move to the front end, or what my users will see from my website, and I refresh my website, here they see Optimus Prime for sale, the title of the blog post, the featured image, and then the blog post itself. But actually what's happening here is they can read the entire blog post now without having to click through. So if they were to click through on the title, it would bring them to the blog post page, but they could have read everything already just from the home page. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and I'm going to go back to this post here. And incidentally, if I had have left this page, let's say I'm gone back to posts, anytime you want to edit a post or a page, you just move your mouse over the title, click on it, and it will just bring you back in where you can edit. Now, I think here I've got in a title, and also then I've got an intro. At that point, I don't want anybody to be able to read any of this information unless they've actually clicked through onto the page itself, the blog post itself. So at this point here, I'm going to insert a read more tag. So up here, it says insert read more. So I click where I want it to go, click on this button here for read more, and it puts in a read more tag. Any changes that I make I have to now update. So you can see the button has changed from publish, because it has been published, to update. And if I choose update, it will update that blog post. And now when I return back to my home page and I refresh my page, I still see my blog post, Optimus Prime for sale, with the featured image. But when I scroll down, they can only read the title, the first line or the introductory paragraph, and then they have the option to continue reading. So they don't see anything else until they click through onto the blog post page, and now they can read the entire amount. Also, just to show you on the classic editor, these features, you can have a look at these features and see what they do yourself. We have the visual tab here, which shows us how it's going to look on the page, but we also have the text tab. And if you click on the text tab, you get to see the HTML tags that are associated with your page. So if you're looking at the visual and something doesn't make sense to you, or it looks out of alignment or something like that, go over to your text, have a look at your HTML tags, so you know your basic HTML tags, and you should be able to troubleshoot from that what's going on or what's the problem. Sometimes maybe there's a paragraph gone inside in a heading 1 or something like that, so you just have to take out the paragraph tags, for example. So I'll just set that back to visual. And even though I didn't make any changes, I will just update that blog post so that it is the latest version of the blog post. Now we have this category section here, and by default it's gone to uncategorized. Over here on the menu system for our dashboard underneath posts, I've got the option of making categories. If I choose categories, here you can see uncategorized is there by default. So I might make a category and call it something like, just move that out of the way, blog posts. Okay, I can set the slug, which is the URL version of it, blog-posts. And I can add in a description of it if I want. So I'll choose add new category, and then you'll see that my blog posts category then goes in over here. Now you can have multiple categories. You might have one for sale items, or one for news, or one for updates, or one for job vacancies, whatever it is, whatever the application for your website is. But you can create multiple categories over here. Now we saw earlier that in my settings and in my writing settings, the default post category was uncategorized. Now that I've created a category called blog posts, I'm going to choose my default post category here, drop it down to blog posts. And every time I create a blog post now, it will automatically go into that category because it's the default post category. Again, any changes I make over here, I should make sure to save those changes and apply them. Now when I go back to my posts, and I see all of my posts here, Optimus Prime for sale, I'll click into this one. Because this was created before I created blog posts and assigned blog posts as the default blog category or post category, uncategorized is still set. So I'm going to untick uncategorized and set this one to be blog posts. I'll update that. And now my blog post Optimus Prime for sale is in the default category of blog posts. And if I was to go and add a new blog post, now we'll just go through the motions of this, we won't actually create one. If I forgot to tick one of these boxes here, it would automatically assign it to blog post because we've made that the default post category. Before we go and create some pages for our website, just want to show you that the media library here is accessible outside of posts and pages. It doesn't have to be that you add media to a post or a page. You can preload this website with all of the imagery that you're going to use. If you click on media, it brings you to your library. So my library only contains 2 images. I can add new, and I can drag and drop or else select files, and you can do bulk uploads as well. You can grab multiple files and just upload them all onto the website. So I might just do that as an example just to show you. If I go select files, and here I might just take all of the product images that I'm going to use later on. And it will upload them all to my media library. So again, you don't just have to do that from inside in posts and pages. You can bulk upload all of your images. So there they are, all uploaded and all in my media library. And again, you can click into each one of them and you can edit the titles and you can add alternative text to them. You can also edit those images. You can crop those images. Okay, you can rotate them. I'll leave you have a look at what you can do in this edit image. Again, to edit the image, you just click on it in your media library and then choose the edit image button at the end here, and that will allow you to choose or to edit that image. So the media library, upload everything if you have those images all ready to go for your website. Now what we want to do here is I want to create some pages. At the moment, all I have on this website, Retro Toys, are 2 blog posts, Optimus Prime for sale and the default Hello World. So I want to create some pages. And I think the pages that I'm going to create, I'll create a home page, an about page, blog page, and a contact page so that my customers can contact me. So I'll go to pages, and remember your pages are static. Here I've got the sample page and I've also got the privacy policy. WordPress is trying to help me with GDPR here by setting up an empty page for my privacy policy. Now to add a new page, I just click on Add New. I'm going to give my page a name. In this case, because it's just a demo for now, I'm not going to put anything into the main content area. You can fill that out yourself when you're building your page. I'm just going to publish this page. All I've done is put a page title on it called Home, publish it. I'm going to add a new page again. This will be the About page, publish. I'm going to add another page. This one is going to be the blog page. I publish that. And then the final page that I'm going to add will be my contact page. And I can publish that. So I've just created those pages, no content on any of them, just given them a title. They're essentially, empty containers waiting for me to fill in later on. If I click into pages, I should see then all of those pages in there, and there they are: home, contact, blog, and about. Now when I go to my website, the front end, and I click on Retro Toys, it will bring me to the home page. Now I've created a home page, but it's still showing me just the blog posts. And the reason that it's showing me that is because if you recall earlier, we went to settings and reading. And on reading, it shows that my home page has to display the latest posts, which it does. I can set my home page to have a static page. So if I tick that radio button there, I can choose then what page I want to be my home page, and also now what page my blog post should appear on. So I'll drop down home page and I'll choose home, and then I'll also drop down the posts page and I'll choose blog. So home and blog for my static pages. Again, save changes. And now that change has applied. If I go back to the front end of my site and I click on Retro Toys again, now you can see that my home page is just an empty page, nothing on it. But how do I access my About page, my contact page, and my blog page? I've no way of finding them at the moment. My website is missing a menu or a navigation system. I'm going to go back to the WordPress dashboard. And under Appearance, I have from the drop-down menu, I have the option to create menus. So I go to Appearance and Menus. And on the Menus page, I can create here a menu. So I have to give my menu a name. So I'll usually call it something like main_nav. So that's standing for the main navigation. And I'll create that menu. So all I've done is I've just created an empty placeholder for a menu called main_nav. Now I'm going to need to add some pages to that menu. Over here on the left hand side, I can see pages from my WordPress site, posts, so I can put individual blog posts in the menu if I want. I can put custom links if I need to link out to a custom page, or I can choose the blog categories as menu items. And to access each of these, you can just click on those arrows and it will just pull down. See here, Optimus Prime I could add in to the menu. I want to add pages. So I'm going to drop down to pages. Now, the most recent tab is the one that shows up. Most recent just shows you the pages that you've created recently. It doesn't show all of your pages. I always like to make sure I'm on View All, and then I can see all of my pages. Now I'm going to click my Home, About, Blog, and Contact, and I'm just going to say Add to Menu. And when I add them to the menu, they drop in here as these little rectangles, and you can hold the left mouse button down on them. Maybe I want blog to appear before about. If I hold down the left mouse button on blog and just drag it up, I can place it there. So now it will read Home, Blog, About, Contact. I save my menu. And I go back to my site and I refresh my page, and I still don't see that menu system, even though I've created it. The final step with our menu system is we have to choose the location where that menu is going to appear. So on our edit menus, where we are at the moment, we'll go to Manage Locations. Now, depending on the theme that you're using for WordPress, there may be one location or multiple locations. With the default 2019 theme that's being used at the moment, it gives me an option to put menu systems into the primary location, into the footer, or into the social links menu. Now, this is my primary menu, so I'm just going to drop that down and choose main nav. Now, you can make multiple menus and you can put them in all of the various places that that theme will allow. I'll save changes. And when I go back to my website and refresh, now I can see a menu system. And when I click on blog, it should bring me to a page that shows me all of my blog posts. When I click on about, it should bring me to an empty page. And when I click on a contact, it should bring me to another empty page. Now let's go back to the edit menus option here. Let's say I wanted the blog posts to be a drop-down link of the home page. To do that, I will position the navigation that I want as a drop-down below the parent. So this becomes a child of the parent. I just hold down the left mouse button and I just indent that a little bit to about there. And then you can see that blog now becomes a sub-item or a drop-down of the home option. Just to point out as well that each of these has a drop-down itself feature where I can change the label on it as it's displayed. Maybe I want it to be blog posts, for example, or I can remove it if I want. So I save that menu. And when I go back to my website and refresh it, blog now is missing. But if I move my mouse over home, it sets up as a drop-down of the home page. So that's how you create drop-downs for your menu system. Now, I don't want that, so I'm going to come back to my edit menu. I'm just going to pick up the blog and drop it back out to the left, and then it becomes an entity on its own, all on the same level. Save the menu. back over to my website, refresh it, and now I see my home, blog, about, and contact page again. The appearance of the website is not great. It's just this, black text on a white background. The thing about WordPress is that we can add our own themes to this website to change the appearance. Now, if I go back to my dashboard here and I go to Appearance and Themes, you will see the main themes or the default themes that WordPress ships with, 2016, 17, and the active one, which is 2019. Now, let's say I want to use a different theme. I can just click to activate that theme. Then that theme becomes the active theme, active 2017 this time. When I go back to my website and I refresh the page, it completely changes the appearance of the website. If I go to my home page, for example, I now see this background image for retro toys, and if I go to blog, you'll see now that my blog posts are arranged a little differently as well. So those are the default themes that ship with WordPress. If I wanted to add another theme from a third-party creator, I can click on Add New. And here then I will see any of the free themes that are available for my WordPress site. Or I can do a search for certain themes. So I know that I'm going to be building an e-commerce website. So I might do a search for e-commerce and find one of these free themes. E-commerce gem. Click on Install. And once it's installed, I can click on Activate. And now that theme becomes the active theme and not my 2017 or 19. Now you can see that certain themes will recommend certain plugins. So it's telling me it needs contact, or I should install Contact Form 7, MailChimp for WordPress, and all of these other ones, WooCommerce. We'll have a look at plugins in a moment, so I'm just going to hide that. Most of these themes here that are free will give you basic features. If you want extra features, you usually have to start and or you usually have to pay for a paid version of them, which will give you access to more features. Again, any of these little messages here I'm just going to hide for now. And if I go back over to my Retro Toys site and I refresh, and I go to my home page. Now be careful when you install one of these themes, because as you can see now, my menu system, my navigation is gone. So if I go back over to my dashboard and I go to Appearance and Menus, and if I go to the Manage Locations section of menus, you can see here that top header has my main navigation. Primary header now has no menu. So I'm going to change top header to nothing, and I'm going to choose main nav for my primary header, primary navigation. Save changes. Go back over to my website and refresh the page. And now I've got my navigation system set up, about, blog. And again, you can see that my blog posts look a little different. And my home page. If I go back to my blog page here for a sec, you can see that depending on the theme that you use, and things will be arranged in different ways. It's got this kind of salmon pink color going on here. I want to change that maybe to a red color. Now, depending on the theme that you're using, if it's a commercial theme that you've paid for, you'll probably see an option somewhere over here to edit the theme settings. In the case of this free theme that I'm using, e-commerce gem, If I go into the appearance section, I just click on appearance, it should drop down this menu for me here. I have an option here to customize. And if I click on customize, it will open up a different window, kind of take over my dashboard a little bit. If I want to get out of customize again, I can just click on this X here and it will bring me back to my dashboard. So that's how you get back out of it. But I do want to just customize. Now I can't tell you what the list of options are going to be in here because every theme is going to be different. So in this case here, the site identity allows me to set up the site title and the tagline. I could put a logo in there as well, and then I could choose whether to just show the logo or the title and tagline or the logo and the tagline. Again, it really depends on the theme that you're using, the list of features that you get here. If I want to go back a step, I just click on the back button here and it shows me the menu again. Now colors, here the primary color is set to this color that I don't like, and if I click onto it I might be able to choose red or blue. I might go with blue, and then I click on publish and it will update those changes so that when I go back to my website and I refresh, you can see that the primary color now has changed to blue. So all of the buttons, all of these little underline effects are all changed to blue. So again, it depends on the theme that you're using. Whatever theme that you have installed, you can have a look at the customize for it and see what all of these options are. Every theme is going to be different. So I'm finished with customizing that theme. And it just brings me back out to the appearance menu. So we've changed our theme. The next thing we should look at is installing some plugins. Now we've already installed one plugin, which was the classic editor. And again, plugins are just pieces of code that have been written by third parties that will add extra functionality. Now, what I will say to you about adding in plugins, don't get into the habit of just adding plugins and adding a plugin and adding another plugin. Research carefully those plugins because they are written by third parties. You just never know really what it is you're going to get with one of them. So any of the plugins that you're going to install, have a look online, do a Google search for them, check the ratings, check the stars, check the number of installs that they have, check the comments underneath the bad reviews and see what the problems are. So I'm going to go with plugins here. And I want to install a plugin to help me improve the SEO or the search engine optimization on this website. So again, I'm going to add new. And one of the kind of go-to plugins for SEO when it comes to WordPress is one called Yoast. So Yoast. I'm just going to do a search for it. And it should go off and find any of the Yoast related SEO tools. So this is the one I want. Yoast SEO, and you can see here it's got 5 million active installations. If I wanted more details on it, I click on more details and it will open up a window here which shows me when it was last updated, for example. So it was last updated 2 days ago, so I know this is a pretty current plugin and they're actively working on it. If I looked at one and it wasn't updated for 5 years, I wouldn't even install it because it just becomes a security issue. Down here, the average rating, look, and the star ratings here. So it's very positive. So I'm happy with that one. I'm going to install it. It will install. Again, it will possibly add in a feature menu system, or somewhere over here. I can't guarantee where it's going to go. So once I activate it, just takes a second. It's now active. And now look, I have this option here for SEO over here where I can go in and I can change some of the settings for this. Now you can go in there and you can have a look at what each of those windows will show you. But what I'll show you now is if I go back to my posts, for example, and I go to my Optimus Prime for sale, while I have my title up here and my content down here, if I scroll down underneath, I've got this new block gone in which is for SEO, and here it shows me how this is going to show up in a Google search engine result page, for example. So at the moment, the blue here is the clickable link that you see, the URL address for it, and the meta description. I have the option here to edit this snippet, and when I edit, I can change the SEO title. So I can take out all of those items and I could put in something like and you can see the preview of it up here. It works on a traffic light system where green is good, orange is okay, and red means bad. And with that SEO title, we only have a certain amount of character length that we can put in here, and as you type them in, this will eventually creep up and go green if it's good, and then it'll eventually go red if you go over. The same here with the meta description, which is the additional little bit of text that allows somebody, to click in, or entices somebody to click in. And you can type and type and type, and as you type, this will increase and go to green, and again, if you go over the limit, it will go to red. So you'll be able to optimize your individual posts, individual pages, and later on when we install WooCommerce, you'll be able to install or optimize the individual products as well. Underneath here we have our readability analysis. Again, it works on a traffic light system, and you also have the option here for the focus keyword, which is the main keyword that you're trying to rank for. In this case, I might put in something like Optimus Prime as the focus keyword, and then it will tell me here what's bad, what's okay, what needs work, and what's good. So things like there are no internal links. No internal links appear in this page. Make sure to add one. Text length. The text contains 21 words. This is far below the recommended minimum of 300 words. So I can work on this and I can optimize this post to try and make all of these go green. And we might come back to it later on, because the idea of writing this post is just to inform people online. If anybody does a search and they do a search for Optimus Prime, this blog post may appear, and when they read down through it, what I'm going to eventually do is I'm going to put an internal link, so a link from this page on my blog, on my website, to the actual product. So I'm going to say a little bit of story about the character, about the toy, and then say, oh, by the way, I also sell it, and I'll have an internal link here which goes across to the product page. So it allows us to completely optimize this blog post in this case to help it to appear higher in the search engine result pages. So again, any changes I make, I got to click update, and you'll notice here, look, because I've installed Yoast, it's telling me the readability is okay and the SEO needs improvement, so I can work on those. Now let's install another plugin, and the plugin that I'm going to install is one that's actually recommended by the team that I'm using, which is Contact Form 7, which will allow me to quickly set up a contact form for my users to be able to contact me easily. So I'll go back to plugins, and on the plugins page again, I'm going to say add new, and this time I'm going to do a search for Contact Form 7. It will do its search. Here's Contact Form 7. Again, have a look at the details for it and see, is it reputable. I'm happy enough with Contact Form 7. There are much better contact forms out there, but this is an easy one to show. I'm going to click on install now. Again, it will take some time to install the plugin, and again it will add a menu option over here somewhere once I activate it. So when I click on activate, it becomes active again. So now I can see my 3 plugins, and here, look, in the menu system there is a contact option, and if I go into contact, it shows me here that I've got a contact form by default. If I just click into this one, and we'll see what's happening with it. Here it shows me there's going to be a label for a person's name, and then a text, and the little star there means it's a required field where they have to put in their name, their email, the subject of their email, and then the message that they want to send, and then there's also a button. And you can learn yourself how to use contact form 7. You can create a new form by clicking on add new, and you can choose then from these buttons to add in extra functionality. So maybe you wanted to get their date of birth, for example. You could put in a date tag here and it would add that in. So the way that we install or we add one of these contact forms to our website is we copy this short code and we paste it into the post page or text widget content, right? So I just copy that. So I'll copy that, and I'm going to go to my pages, and the contact page is where I want to put this. So I click on contact, and down here in the content area of my contact page, I'm just going to paste that short code that was given to me by contact form 7. And when I update this page, it now has a contact form, but I don't see it in this view. If I go to what my users or my customers will see, and I go to my contact page, here you can see a contact form with the name required, the email required, the subject, and the message. And when you click on send, it will send an email to whatever email you set this WordPress site up with. Okay, so there are lots more plugins that you can install. Those are just two. I'd recommend you don't over plug in a website. Just get some of the better plugins and the essential ones. You'll need one for SEO, you'll need one for security, so it'll be like a firewall. A contact form is a good one. And then if it's going to be an e-commerce store, we'll have a look at WooCommerce in the next video.